And again, he says that we did not receive, in verse 15, you did not receive the spirit that makes you a slave again to fear, but you received the spirit of sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. And that's the beauty of the fact that before we were just a slave. When we let our flesh take control, when the sin was ruling over us, we become slaves to sin, because whoever you serve, that's who you become a slave to. And we were simply just having to do what our flesh told us to do, having to go where our flesh brought us, having to say what our flesh had us to say. Now we have control over our mind and our thoughts and our attitudes and our words, and we can control that through the Spirit of God, and we don't have to just be led as slaves to sin. We don't have to give in to those things. We have a choice in our lives where we can say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be like that. I want to change in my mind and in my attitudes. He talked about earlier, actually, in Romans 8:5, it said, those who live according to the flesh have their mind set on what the nature desires, but those who live according to the Spirit have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. And it's just a changing of our mind. Remember, he talks about the thoughts and attitudes of our mind being brought into captivity through Christ. And as we are able to bring those into captivity into the Spirit of God and being led by that Spirit, we show forth that we are children of God, that we are able to know Him as Father and relate with Him that way, and we're not a slave anymore, but instead we are a child. He says that now if we are children, this is in verse 16, I'll start. The Spirit Himself testifies to our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share with His sufferings, in order that we may also share with His glory. And he's like, because we're children, we become heirs. And not only are we heirs of God, but we're joint heirs with Christ. Because Jesus is an heir to a kingdom and to a city and to a creation. The New Jerusalem, the new creation. Jesus is King and Lord of all that. And we are heirs of that. We are going to rule and reign with Him. We are going to be with Him forever. And we are going to be partakers of that city, of that place. We're going to have a place of authority in the world to come. We're going to have a place of leadership in the world to come. And according to our relationship now, and as we develop that relationship with Him now, this is where we talked about authority, being submitted to His authority and walking in His authority. Then we have that authority in that place to come. We have an inheritance that is to come. Think about the servants that, because they were faithful in the things of the world, then they were able to rule over several cities. That's the idea, and that's the focus of this heir to come, this inheritance that we have.